Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All2ReelToo. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me via the interwebs is...
Matthew, the Clone Wars is on Disney Plus. Haas.
That is plus-orific.
Yeah.
Plus-orific. Because, you know, Disney needs more advertising.
Yeah, it does. Come on, I mean...
I didn't even know what Disney was until yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, who's heard of this obscure media company? I barely know anything about them. But yeah...
Clone Wars, what is this about?
Clone Wars is a Star Wars TV show that's animated, and I've just been watching the 7th season. I just finished it like a few days ago. It's a really good show.
There's wars in the stars?
Yeah, there's wars in the stars. I mean, I don't think they're actually fighting, inside the stars because, I think, that you probably get killed if you get too close to a star, so they're not really fighting inside of a star. And they're certainly not fighting stars because that would be impossible. So,
well, it's not like Tom Cruise beating up Brad Pitt or something. It's not like stars fighting, right?
Oh no!
Oh, not that. Not those kind of stars. No. Oh, okay. Just making sure.
I mean that's a good idea, but yeah, actually, that's a really good idea. Star Wars, Stars Wars, and
Whoa! I hit the table. Okay. Anyways, so today on the show, we are covering a film that is kind of a direct-to-video sequel. It did have a run in one theater in the United States. So I'm still going to consider it a direct-to-video sequel. The movie is called Punk's Dead, SLC Punk Part 2. It is a film that came out in 2016. It was directed by and written by James Marandino, who wrote the first SLC Punk and directed it. And it stars Ben Schneitzer, Hannah Marks, Machine Gun Kelly, a.k.a. Colson Baker, Sarah Clark, Devon Sawa, Michael Gorgian, I don't know how you say his name, Adam Pascal, and many others. Yes. It was it's a very interesting movie. It's one of these things. Okay, so like this is a rare instance where I really thoroughly enjoyed a film that is a direct-to-video sequel. So it's not like Tooth Fairy 2 or something.
Oh, come on. That's a great movie. That's better than the first Tooth Fairy.
Yeah.
Not really.
Uh-huh. Because Daniel Whitney is a great actor. Anyways,
Dan
motherfucking Whitney. And this movie, I mean, I was a huge fan, I don't know about you, of SLC Punk, the original. It's one of my like favorite kind of indie films of all time.
Yeah.
And somehow I had never seen this sequel, even though it came out like 4 years ago. I kept meaning to, and then somehow I forgot to watch it. I don't know. That's just how it happens. But so what happens in the movie here, Matt?
Well, it takes place about 19 or 20 years after the first movie. And it's the main character his name is Ross, and he's the child of Heroin Bob, and I'm already blanking on his name. Yeah, Trish. There you go.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was the one that had the business that they used to kind of hang out at in the first movie. And
she's played by a different actress in this movie, though.
Was that?
But she's a different actress in this movie, though. But still.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did look a little bit different, and just not just because of age, but just she looked different.
Yeah.
And she now owns like a kind of like a steampunk type of shop or whatever, and they kind of they live like it's one of these places where they live in the business that they have, so it's like a one of those type of situations. And he's kind of like completely removed from like the whole punk ethos. Like he's kind of more of like a Victorian goth, like an actual goth, like the original terminology, but he doesn't even really like to even call himself that. But
yeah, he kind of dresses like Edgar Allan Poe or something.
Right, and he's like really into like poetry and like that kind of scene. And he's got this girlfriend of his that he kind of, well, in my opinion, I don't really know how you would describe it. It almost seems like he kind of got a little bit what he asked for, because she said that she loved him, and he kind of brushed her off by saying something like, I don't remember, but like
love doesn't exist and all this other stuff.
Right. Yeah. So she went and messed around with some other dude, and then like that completely like just threw his world. And like, well, you kind of whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is I think he didn't believe in love, but then it kind of hit him, and and like he said, it like grabbed into his chest and pulled out his heart and poured salt on it and all this other stuff. Yeah, and I mean, and he's prior to this, he's had a lifelong abstinence from drugs, alcohol, and sex. But he is not straight edge.
He just doesn't like to use the
term,
the labels.
Yeah,
like he'll do all the stuff, but he doesn't want to be stuck with the label that kind of then traps him, kind of,
Yes. Labels are for clothing, man.
Yeah, man. And even then, I would need to take a guess, man.
Guess. Guess is a brand of clothing. Anyways.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, after he gets broken up with the girl, what happens? He goes off with his friends.
Yeah, he's got like two friends or one friend, I think,
and a friend by proxy.
Yeah, pretty much on a road trip to see some punk band. I forgot the name of the punk band, but
I think it was just a big punk show, like in general.
Oh yeah, right. It was
because like a bunch of different bands. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and his friend he goes with his friend Crash, played by Machine Gun Kelly, the rapper.
Yeah. That one, not the other Machine Gun Kelly.
No, not the dead gangster.
Whoa,
that's where he got his name. It was from a gangster who.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, who was called Machine Gun Kelly, and yeah, and he's been dead for decades. So
Oh, wow.
But yeah, Colson Baker, who recently played Tommy Lee in The Dirt. Yes. And is going to be in the upcoming. I believe he's in the upcoming film with the new Pete Davidson movie that's coming out. That's kind of a biographical pick. That looks really good. Something Staten Island. I think I can't remember what it's called, but
it's called like the King of Staten Island, isn't it?
Something like that. Yeah, yeah. It's but it looks really good.
Yeah.
And regardless of anything else, I kind of, for some odd reason, I like Machine Gun Kelly, even though a lot of people hate him. I don't know what it is. I think he did a good job in this movie too. So yeah. So basically, they go off on basically a road trip to this concert, and in a nice Cadillac that Hannah Mark's character, who was named Penny, had like fixed up and everything. Penny's kind of she's a friend of Crash's, who is another like punk basically.
Yeah.
And so while they're going, Ross breaks his whole abstinence thing and starts drinking a bunch of Pabst Blue Ribbon beer on the way. Yeah. Then what happens?
Right. Yeah, he chooses he of all the beers he chooses, freaking Pabst Blue Ribbon, Skate Town or whatever, and
well, it kind of makes sense at the time because it's this is supposed to be like the early 2000s.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and that's when there was kind of a resurgence of people liking Pabst because it was like kind of the I don't know, hipster sort of thing to do.
Right.
And the punk thing to do too, I guess.
Right. Yeah, because it's 19 years after the early 80s or whatever. That's when SLC Punk took place. So yeah, it's probably like around like 2002 or whatever type of.
I think the movie takes place in like, it's supposed to be like 2000. I want to say like 2000. I don't know, not 6, but like 2003 or somewhere around there.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing something like that. Yeah, so he gets drunk and he's never been drunk before, so he doesn't know how much to drink or whatever, and he's kind of spiraling because he feels like he lost his one true love, and they eventually, I forgot what happens, guys. I remember at one point they stop at like a gas station or something, and Penny just like unloads on this dude, and turns out it's like her stepfather or ex-stepfather or something that used to, like, I guess, molest her or something.
I think it's her dad. I think it's her dad. Her actual dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
She trashes his car and stuff, and like I think hits him like with a crowbar or something like that, and and she kind of is breaking down a little bit now too because of that, and they end up like, I forgot if their car breaks down. I think their car breaks down at one point or something, and they meet this dude who has like mushrooms or something like that, or like some kind of
they were mushrooms. Yeah.
And he takes
a dreadlocked kind of Jamaican like guy.
Yeah. He's kind of like, I hate to use the word, but he's kind of the magic black person in this movie, because he's literally only there for that one purpose, and like literally that's his purpose. Like it's not even like a phrase. Like that's literally his function in the story. He has drugs that gives you like consciousness boosting powers or whatever, and Ross is just like constantly talking to this him like he's just kind of like on like a loop where he's like saying something like, like it's impossible for us to understand each other because I'm me and you and I can't be you and you can't be me. So you really can't understand what I'm saying. I can't understand what you're saying because only I know what I actually mean when I say something. And and the guy just kind of like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's I I think that the guy who played Ross did a great job. Ben Schneider. He was hilarious in this whole the whole awakening of his mind, sort of like, coming of age sort of thing that he was doing in this. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then what happens after that?
Well, during this time, plus two, the B plot is Trish is kind of freaking out because he's never ever like expressed like a desire to drink or do anything like that. So like, she finds out that suddenly, he was like crying and depressed and that he was drinking. So that kind of put her into like a sort of PTSD mode because that's what happened to Bob when he died.
And Heroin Bob actually narrates the whole movie too, by the way, from the afterlife.
Right. Very, very weird, bizarre, but yeah, it was kind of cool.
Yeah. So yeah, and if you hadn't seen the first one, he died of a overdose, even though he was straight edge. So
yeah, all he did was drink like just like light beer, pretty much. Like that's all he, and then he ends up accidentally taking some painkillers for a headache because he thought they were just regular like just aspirin or something. Like he didn't know that the person actually gave him like actual like Percocets or whatever they were, and so he took like like 2 of them or something, and he drank some beer with it. And for most people that that never does anything to them, but he was whatever reason that interacted with them, and he died in his sleep that night. And
yeah,
and like I need to explain too, he was called Heroin Bob as like a joke because he didn't do drugs. It was like one of those things, like a big guy called Tiny, stuff like that. Like
short guy called Stretch. Yeah,
right. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and so he narrates the film throughout it, and he's kind of like concerned from the afterlife because he sees his son like going down the dark path. Like, oh no, like alcoholism is runs bad in our family. I hope he doesn't go too far, down this or whatever. And the dude I forgot his name, but the dude that was like had a really bad acid trip in the first one, who had like the green hair and like the spikes and all that kind of stuff.
Sean is the character's name.
Sean, played by
Devon Sawa.
There we go, Devon Sawa. He's in the movie too, and he's actually cleaned up his act like a bit. Like he works for like a politician, like some senator or something like that.
Yeah,
now,
he works in like the state senator's office or something.
Right.
Yeah.
He's still kind of got like the punk ethos, even though he works for like a politician. He still kind of like has the kind of punk mentality, and he kind of sees himself at least as a mentor to Ross. And you find out that all of Bob's and Trish's old friends, they've all been sort of secretly talking to Ross, thinking that like they're all like his mentor, but he's been talking to like all of them without telling all the others.
Yeah, they all think that he's like that they're like his uncle, basically.
Right.
It's like that, and then James Duvall's character of John as well, who was who's now like a Norwegian death metal guy. Who was a mod in the first movie? He's there too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a mod along with like I forgot some other guy. Yeah, I love his transformation too, because I love it too, because like when Bob is narrating it and he's going now he was you might think it's kind of strange that someone goes from a mod to Norwegian black metal, but I think him being a Native American Mormon, and I think the message of Christians like destroying, someone's, home religion or way of life may have resonated with them a little bit or whatever.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a break right now, Matt? And then we'll come back and we'll finish the plot of the movie?
Sure.
Okay, we'll be right back, folks.
Hey, folks, this is Michael E. Cullen II from the podcast that you're listening to right now, along with
Matthew Haas.
We just wanted to tell you about our great podcast called Super. It's called All Too Real. And on that show, what do we do, Matt?
We watch biopics, and then we talk about whether or not the movie matched up with the real story or not.
So
it was a lot more exciting than that, though.
Yeah, so we analyze the real story and the real story.
Get it?
Real. Yeah, they're spelled differently, folks. You can guess which one I said which way.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, so sometimes we have guests, sometimes we don't. But we talk about great movies like Shattered Glass and The Social Network and Futile and Stupid Gesture, among others. Those are some of the ones that we've covered so far, and we're going to cover a lot more. So please subscribe on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your great, fun podcasts. And be sure to share it with your friends.
Do it.
And make sure you're not afraid to get all too real. Bye-bye.
And we are back. Okay, so all right, back to the plot of this movie. What happens next here, Matt?
Let's see. After the drug trip wears off, they get to the concert eventually. During the same time, the Trish and them are kind of gathering up all the people from the old days to kind of try to track Ross down and make sure he's all right. So they're kind of are running into like a lot of their old friends that they didn't really talk to in a while. And you got the dude that was he was kind of the guy who hung out with the punks, but he wasn't really a punk. He was more of like a really handsome dude that pretty much like
Eddie.
He dated a lot of the girls. What's that?
Eddie.
That's right, Eddie. And he like is like some rich dude now who he owns some like I don't know what it is, some kind of like virtual strip club or something like that. I forgot what it was.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like a virtual strip club, but they don't get completely naked or something. And
yeah, like a burlesque type of thing.
Yeah, maybe like a Suicide Girls sort of thing or something, but I don't know what it is. You know, it's kind of and he's played by Adam Pascal, who people know from Rent, and it's the original Roger in Rent, and among other things. And I've met him. He's a nice guy. So there's that. I love Adam Pascal. He's awesome. One song glory, man. Come on.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah, because I saw him in concert, like 10 or 15 years ago, and then met him and started talking to him by a dumpster. It was fun.
I like that. Start talking to him by a dumpster.
Yeah, for some odd reason, where the theater let out, there was like this big, green dumpster outside, and I'm standing there just chatting for a while. There was it was pretty sad though. There was like not that many people in the crowd for that concert. It was really great though. It was awesome.
That sucks.
Yeah. But he's a cool guy. But it was nice though because there wasn't a lot of people, so I was able to talk to him for a bit. So
right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's it's kind of a win-win sort of.
Yeah.
So they're in this dude's limousine, and he's kind of like he for a split second he kind of reveals like his conservative change because he's rich now. So most people become conservative once they get rich. I mean, I'm not pointing fingers, but it's a fact. It really does. for the most part, it does. I mean, well, depends on how you get rich. If you get rich by being a movie star, that might be a little bit different. But it's usually when you start a business, it's kind of a whole different type of world. But anyway, so I don't want to get into that whole thing. But because he said something like "you fucking liberals," because I forgot, because what's his Sean criticized him about his business, like saying he exploited women or something like that, and he like made him like fly off the handle, like.
And then, but then they patch up and they which is good. They. Like right afterwards, they apologize to each other.
Yeah, no, it kind of reminded me of just like old past grievances, like just showing up all of a sudden, like, and realize like, oh well, we got a bigger fish to fry right now. We gotta help, save this kid from, doing something, to hurt himself or whatever. And so that whole thing's going on, and I guess it was revealed at one point that Eddie may have helped Trish financially a few times with their business, and then that became a whole thing, like, you're taking money from this guy or whatever type of thing. I don't know. And it's like, well, he's got the money, and she's got a business, so it's like,
might as well help.
But exactly, might as well take the help if you can get it. And but anyway, so I don't see you helping out, Mr. Senator Roy or whatever, but So they're like, they're in Eddie's limousine trying to, go to the concert or whatever, and at the same time that the Crash and Penny and Ross are going, and they make it to the concert first, and Ross, he fucks up. He ends up like crashing the stage at one point, and just says a bunch of stupid crap about. I think he was bashing Punk basically, and so he got beat up at the concert. So
he bashes him, but then at the end he's bashing the whole idea of a dying art form and all this other stuff, and but then at the end he says, but I love you, you're my people, I want to fuck all of you.
That's right. Yeah, because he was still high on the mushrooms at that point, and it's a great. This movie was a lot. It was much more lighthearted than the first one, I think.
Yeah.
Like as far as because the first one, it was about punk in the '80s. Punk in the '80s, it really was rough. I mean, like Bob and why am I blanking on the other character's name? Matthew Lillard's character. Whatever. That guy's name.
Yeah.
Like. People really did live like the way they did, like like a unheated apartment, in like Salt Lake City where it's cold and shit in winter, and pretty much only have beer in their fridge, and punk concerts really were held like in people's basements and stuff. It wasn't like like huge concert halls and shit like that. I mean, a lot of these bands were playing like I know it sounds weird, like when you say like, oh, we're going on tour. You normally think a band's actually going to be playing at like real venues. It's like, no, like they were pretty much like playing like houses, like that was their tour. Like, and it wasn't set up in advance. It was pretty much like they might have only had like each concert lined up, and then like, okay, what's the next show? Like they didn't have like every place like like 50 dates, and we're gonna do. Hit this place, hit that place. It was very, disorganized. So like, this movie, the culture, I think that was that may have been what Ross was talking about a little bit, is not so much saying that punk is a dying art form in the sense that there aren't any bands left, but like in a sense that like it has become commercialized. Like you can go to a venue and see 50 bands play in like this really, really fancy arena, and like they sell merchandise and all that kind of stuff, whereas in the 80s it really was you just show up in some dude's basement or whatever.
Yeah, I mean this is the point where punk became Green Day and Blink-182.
Right.
It wasn't necessarily, not that I'm bashing those bands either, but I'm just saying that's not like Social Distortion or something, or or Minor Threat or something. It's it's not real punk per se.
Yeah, it's pop punk. I mean, Blink-182, Green Day, And a lot of that stuff can be traced back to, some of the the more melodic punk bands like Husker Du and like the Buzzcocks, you know, for example, because I've been listening to a lot because I never got into I never really went through a punk phase when I was growing up, and I've been listening to more punk lately. And one of the bands that I've been attracted to the most is Husker Du, because they're more melodic and stuff like that. But like, I've been going through their albums and stuff, and then I started listening to the Foo Fighters, their first record, and they got a song on there called "Good Grief," and I'm like, this sounds just like Husker Du, like the chords and everything. So like, and that kind of over time, you know, like the melody and stuff, you know, with Blink-182. I mean, I'm not saying there's like a direct line from Husker Du to Blink-182, but like there is like an evolution kind of.
Yeah, well, and it makes sense, you know, with Foo Fighters, for example, where because like grunge came out of punk, and then
right.
Dave Grohl came out of Nirvana, so it was kind of like a, you know, that's a natural progression right there.
Right.
Yeah, so oh yeah, and one of the major points too in the movie that happened before this too is that Penny and Ross kiss as well.
Oh,
on the floor of the concert.
That's right.
Yeah. So he kind of, and then they had this like a little talk, which was kind of cool about basically she didn't want to be. She's like you're not a one night stand kind of guy. You're you're somebody I could fall in love with and stuff like that and everything. And then she didn't want to, and then they kissed again, which was kind of cool. So they're kind of together.
Right.
And so he's kind of getting over Lilith, his girl. Not Lilith. What was her name? Is it Lilith? Yeah, Lilith. It was Lilith.
I think it was Lilith.
Yeah, it was Lilith. Never mind. Sorry. Yeah, the girl that he was kind of in love with. Yeah.
the goth girl and the traditional goth girl.
Mm-hmm.
You know, traditional goth, trad goth.
Mm-hmm.
Got my trad goth girl, my trad goth GF.
Yes.
Whatever.
So yeah, that happened. Yeah, and then they basically, though, he's getting beaten up after he goes on stage, and then is saved by Sean and the other guys who come into the concert and basically save him and take him out of the venue, and say his mom's outside to meet him and stuff, and then we have basically it's this whole thing where she's confronted by the fact that she basically took her image of Heroin Bob and placed it onto Ross.
Mm-hmm.
And basically he had to live up to his dad his whole life. And so she's basically told that, like, just let it go, sort of thing. Like, like another Rent actress would have, had sung in a movie.
That was a good
Yeah.
good jump.
Yes.
Like, wait a minute, I know what that is.
Yes. So so that's how that goes. Anyways. Welcome to my mind, folks. This is how it works. Anyways, so yeah, and basically she's told to like let Bob go, basically kind of get on with life and understand that Ross isn't Bob,
Right.
And what happened to Bob isn't necessarily going to happen to Ross.
Right, yeah, exactly. Because, you got to think, too, maybe part of the reason why he was so, like, straight edge without calling himself straight edge was because, he heard the story, a million times or whatever of how Bob died. And so, he didn't want to have to go through that or put his mom through that or whatever.
Yeah. It's like, you kind of don't want to... you can't live up to your father, you know? That's kind of another thing too. And
Right,
he basically it was placed on him like he had to live up to a guy that he never even knew, you know, who died before he was born, you know, so.
Right, exactly. And like all these legends, about him too, like, oh, Heroin Bob, man, all these stories, probably heard, yeah, that time when Heroin Bob, blah blah blah, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, so and then we cut after basically that, and they just basically, she basically agrees to just kind of let him go and hang out with his friends, and embraces him and says goodbye, and then we cut back to Heroin Bob in the afterlife, who basically just says something like how everybody's moving along and everything's people are letting go and life is moving on. And then he says, but I'm still fucking dead, so fuck you.
Right.
And then that's how the movie ends. Yeah.
Yep.
See, my only issue with the movie is I like the movie, but there's something about the ending I wanted a little bit more. It just seemed too short to me.
It was a short movie. It was only like 75 minutes long.
Yeah. So that was the only issue I had with it. I mean, I think it could have been a little longer. But anyways, do you want to take another break here, Matt, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some reviews and some trivia and stuff about the movie?
Sure.
Okay, we'll be right back, folks.
Hi, folks. This is Michael E. Cullen II from the podcast that you're listening to right now, along with
manager Matthew Haas.
You got promoted?
Yes.
Damn it. Okay. Anyways, folks, do you like the show Superstore? I don't know. I asked the folks and nobody's answering me.
Because they're not here.
Oh,
but we love
damn it. Yeah, we love it, though. Okay, folks, if you like it as much as we do, you're really going to like the Super Story podcast, which is a podcast where Matthew and I go episode by episode and give our little opinions and thoughts on it. Sometimes we have guests, sometimes we don't. Just depends on how we're feeling.
Yeah.
And, so if you like this podcast and like our little crazy banter,
then you should definitely check this out, or I might get sad. And when I get sad, it gets pretty sad.
Yeah,
so
I can't deal with him when he's sad.
Yeah, no one can really. So
yeah. So check out Super Story Podcast right here where you get this podcast, Super Story Podcast.
And we are back. So, all right, here's some trivia that I found here for the movie Punk's Dead, SLC Punk 2. Devon Sawa was paid $100 in Subway gift cards for his role in the movie.
Wow.
He got $100 and a producer credit. He must have really loved the, original movie or something to come back for $100 in Subway gift cards.
Right.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
The big concert scene was produced for the movie and funded through Indiegogo by fans. The movie premiered May 2015 at the Cannes Film Festival in the same theater that SLC Punk did in 1999. Over 2,000 fans attended the concert. The original movie was a big inspiration to Machine Gun Kelly and his career and life. The water bottle that is thrown at Ross while he's on stage was thrown by Ricky Egan, a featured extra who contributed to the film's Indiegogo campaign for the role. Matthew Lillard declined to reprise his role as Steve-O, but gave his blessing to the film. And that's it for the trivia. that I have information on. Let's see what there's under goofs, John the Mod is labeled as Norwegian black metal as a Norwegian black metal fan, yet mentions he will do a death metal version of the song Smelly Cat from Friends at some point when talking to Sean. Matt's considered a goof. Oh yeah, by the way, he's now known as Johnny Jekyll. So yeah. But then in the same thing here that I just found on the Internet Movie Database where it said that was a goof, also said incorrectly regarded as a goof was when John the Mod, now Johnny Jekyll, seems to make a faux pas by mentioning death metal. It may be an intentional attempt at a joke. He never refers to himself as being black metal or death metal during the duration of the film, nor does he ever state he's an extremist. He's only described as Norwegian black metal by other characters. So, that may not be a goof. Yes. So, here's a couple of, want me to read some reviews here, Matt?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Here's a 4 out of 10. By, Smooper Pooper. I'm going to say that again. Smooper Pooper.
Okay.
These are some reviews from the Internet Movie Database, and this is a 4 out of 10 by Smooper Pooper, who posted this on March 3rd of 2016. The headline is, "If Punk's dead, this killed it." I wanted to like it. For God's sakes, I have Heroin Bob tattooed on me. The shallow time of an hour and 15 minutes made me nervous from the start. I know this movie didn't have a budget like the last one, but if Kevin Smith can make Clerks, I'm pretty sure James could have rubbed a little bit of better, especially with the time he took to make this too. It felt overly rushed. I almost can't describe it. The characters were barely there. The whole plot of the movie takes place because of a event described for a few minutes. Bob's skull cap was horrendous, especially in the opening sequence. Little things for the time period were off. Again, low budget, not necessarily in his control, but this supposedly takes place in the early 2000s when they are using 2010 cell phones. That's just poor direction. Also, the fact that of no mention whatsoever of Steve-O seemed weird. Sean drew it together and was the only character, and maybe Trish, that I enjoyed seeing again. Very well written stories for those two. In the end, it tried too hard to capture on SLC Punk and grow, and yet start something new with Ross and his two friends. If it had more time to develop, it would have been better. If you're a diehard SLC Punk fan, see it once and see some old faces again, then forget about it. Here's another bad review. This is a 1 out of 10. Posted on October 26th of 2016, right around Halloween. This was from SDVMYNYRZFPC. I'm going to say that again, Matt. That is SDVMYNYRZFPC. It's not as fun to say as Smooper Pooper.
Nope, that name is now stuck with me.
No. Yep. I think if I were to name my child, I would prefer to name them Smooper Pooper than to name them SDVMYNYRZFPC. That just looks like
a light.
What's that?
Like a license plate number.
Yeah, it kind of just looks like to me like they just hit their head on the keyboard. Okay, this review is called "I Was Glad When It Was Over." I was glad when it was over. I wonder why anyone would make such a listless movie. The characters each seemed indulgent, yet none are developed to the point where they provide any interest. The usefulness of a car ride as a sort of journey device is marginalized by the redundant and boring settings. The production value is mix and match mediocre. The narrator's bad acting is creepier than the creepiness of employing a dead narrator character. The climax of the story is not even anticlimactic, but at least you know the end is near. Okay, that's a bad review.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie got a lot of bad reviews, and I don't know why. Trying to find a good one that I like. Okay, here's one. Here's a 10 out of 10 from Green Day Rock. I say that again, Green Day Rock. This is posted on March 13th of 2016. Loved it. This movie is phenomenal. It's not like the first one, however, it retains the ability to stand on its own. I guarantee you can relate to at least one, if not more, of the characters. James Duvall's portrayal of John, the former mod, is an absolute delight. Ross's character, which could arguably be considered as one that isn't the standard definition of punk, was a refreshing twist. I found it remarkable that Ben Schneitzer was able to channel part of Heroin Bob's essence. His performance was incredible as well. James Marandino did not disappoint. I sincerely hope this movie goes down as a classic and is as well loved as received as the first. Thank you so much for your hard work in creating this masterpiece. Yeah. So that's a little that's a good one. So
yeah, levity.
Yes. So would you recommend this movie, Matt?
Oh yeah, definitely.
What's your favorite part of the movie? We'll add that. I'll ask you that here, just to kind of, just curiously.
Just kind of the road trip aspect of it. Them on the road, the car breaking down. That kind of played up the sort of coming of age, part of the story. The mushrooms scene was pretty funny. I'd say pretty much them, that part of the story, that plot, not the kids part. Ross, Crash, Penny, the dude with the mushrooms who they drop him off at one point, I guess, or something.
Yeah, I mean it's. I liked it. I think it's a good sequel. I mean, sequels rarely are as good as the original.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't as good as the original in some senses, but it's still a good movie. I mean, it's not bad at all. I liked Machine Gun Kelly. I liked Hannah Marks as additions to the cast. I liked the Ben Schneitzer guy that played Ross. He was good.
Right.
I liked seeing the old people like Devin Sawa and Adam Pascal and James Duvall. It would have been nice if they would have had the original Trish, but Sarah Clark, who replaced Annabeth Gish, was good in this as well. So
yeah, and what I liked about this though too is like you said, yeah, most sequels don't live up to the first one, but what I liked about this is that they weren't trying to recreate the first movie. It's a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch these movies back to back, it's a completely different style. It's not even close to the same type of feeling or theme of the first movie. Unlike, Tooth Fairy 2 with, Dan fucking Whitney, which is basically just a rehash of the first Tooth Fairy with different actors.
And this is actually a real sequel as opposed to a sequel in name only.
Right.
Like Tooth Fairy 2 is, or like Jingle All the Way 2, or
right.
Or I don't know, many of the movies we've watched for this podcast.
Cop and a Half 2.
Yeah. We're
Which was okay.
Yeah, or Kindergarten Cop 2. Without a Paddle 2. All of those, they're kind of like a different thing, and again, it would have been cool. I think this is my guess on the movie. I really liked Devon Sawa in it. I thought he was good. He was completely different than he was in the first movie. He kind of changed, as he got older and stuff, which was cool. I have a feeling that he was given that role because Matthew Lillard turned down being in the movie. Because if you watch the movie, and I think that everything that he did in the movie could have been done by Steve-O.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's
like the whole... Yeah, because he was doing the whole... At the end of the first movie, he was doing the whole, misguided thing of, change the system from within. Doesn't work, but, okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it kind of seems like they probably put everything that was supposed to be for Steve-O onto Sean.
Yeah.
And, and I was sad not to see Matthew Lillard or Annabeth Gesh in this movie because I'm in a movie with both of them. So,
yeah.
Called Home Run Showdown.
Yeah. Yep. Did he give a reason why he didn't want to do it, or he just didn't want to do it?
He just said he didn't want to do it, and he gave a blessing. Same thing. Jason Segel was asked to come back too, and he did the same thing. And plus both of them. Jason Segel more so than Matthew Lillard are pretty big stars right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Matthew Lillard not so much, but but he's got a lot. He's constantly working. Right.
He had a good run. He was in the Scream and the Scooby Doo movie, and
a lot of, and then he continued to do the voice of Shaggy up until the latest Scoob movie.
Oh wow,
where what's his face took over? Will Forte took over. But then, I can completely understand Jason Segel because that was, right around, when they were filming this was probably right around the time he was doing, like, How I Met Your Mother, like, towards the end of the run of that show and different things, so kind of makes sense that he wouldn't be able to do it. Plus, he's a movie star.
Right.
In certain ways. He's not, like, huge, but he's decent. But yeah, it would have been cool to see some more of the faces from the original movie in this movie. But it was cool it was cool that they, with what they had, it didn't overpower the new story that they had with these characters, with the younger characters, So that was kind of cool. Yeah. Anyways, anything else before we go here, Matt?
I could play some music, play us out.
Yes, that'd be great.
All right, let me get my little guitar.
How big is it?
It's a small guitar. It's like a.
Is it like a ukulele?
It's called a I don't know if the official thing is a ukulele or if it's just a small guitar. I call it a ukulele because it sounds cooler, but yeah. I'll just play some stuff. I don't really know what I'll play. We'll just find out, I guess.
Yeah.
Just find out what it's. All right.
This was a music-based movie, so we can play some music out.
Yeah. Let's see here. There we go.
If you folks would like to hear more of Matt's music, be sure to follow him on Facebook. Look up Matthew Haas. You can also follow us on Facebook at All2ReelToo. That was beautiful, Matt.
That was my attempt of a acoustic punk rock song.
I liked it.
Thank you.
Make sure you follow Matt on Facebook, like I said. Check out his music there. Matthew Haas. I will try to remember to link it in the show notes. Also, follow us on Facebook. You know, check out our Patreon. Patreon. Oui. Check out our Patreon. And and give us some money. Just joking. I don't want to say it like that.
Just give us some money.
Yeah. If you'd like to hear more of this show, it helps support us a lot. Make sure you check out our sponsors. That helps us out too. Give us a 5-star review on Apple or Stitcher or Spotify or any of those things that let you do that. I don't know which ones do. It helps people find us. Share the show with your friends. Check out our TeePublic and get yourself some cool merchandise with our logo on it. And some other stuff related to our shows. Follow us on Instagram and the Twitters with at cullenpark.com. You can go to that website and it'll link you to those things. I don't know what I'm saying here anymore, Matt. Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, make sure you stay punk and make sure it doesn't really die. Punk's not dead, man. No. It's all in your mind.
Yeah, man.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All2ReelToo podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Haas. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.